All right. Good. No. No. Oh, it's happening. I have to reboot. Boy, I just love it. I just love it when that stuff happens. Flipping
Oh no, it's only me.
hard mode, and suddenly we're having an issue with shooting the screen transition. That was going to go so smoothly, and then it didn't. All right. Good morning, everybody. This morning we're going to be talking about the new executive order from Donald Trump over the burning of the American flag, in particular, prosecuting the burning of the American flag. How you doing this morning, Mario?
I'm good. Went to bed early last night. Got up early. I'm here.
Feels good, don't it?
Full
I see
mental
Uncle Steve's with
faculties.
us. I see Jay and I see Be Controversial. We're off to a good start.
Maybe we should have like a contest, okay? Where if for each day I'm on this program in the morning, let's see if the audience can tell which days that I'm hungover and which days that I'm not. Okay. So right now here's a control group. Okay. I am bright-eyed and bushy-eared. Okay, ready to go because I went to bed last night. Went to bed early like a good boy last night. Okay, so
got the wop slop in the mop top, and bitch biscuit says you are well composed.
Wibbity whopping it up. That's right. Okay. So as a counterpoint, yesterday, in case you noticed, I was not in a good state. Okay, for the morning show. So there you go.
We're working on it, boys. We're working on it. So yesterday, President Trump issued this executive order on prosecuting the burning of the American flag by the authority vested in me as President of the United States by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America. It is hereby ordered. Our great American flag is the most sacred and cherished symbol of the United States of America and of American freedom, identity, and strength. Over nearly 2.5 centuries, many thousands of American patriots have fought, bled, and died to keep the stars and stripes waving proudly. We pair among them, by the way. The American flag is a special symbol in our national life that should unite and represent all Americans of every background and walk of life. Desecrating it is uniquely offensive and provocative. It is a statement of contempt, hostility, and violence against our nation. The clearest possible expression of opposition to the political union that preserves our rights, liberty, and security. Burning this representation of America may incite violence and riot. American flag burning is also used by groups of foreign nationals as a calculated act to intimidate and threaten violence against Americans because of their nationality and place of birth. Now, on the question of burning the flag, I am not a fan of flag burning. And the First Amendment is one of those where, like the Fourth Amendment, I want to be an absolutist. I want to be a First Amendment absolutist. However, while I am a Second Amendment absolutist, and the Second Amendment is clearly says shall not be infringed, the Second Amendment is an absolute amendment. The First Amendment is not. The First Amendment does not say shall not be infringed. The First Amendment says the Congress shall make no law. Right? Now, that's an important distinction because the First Amendment, with that language, leaves open the possibility of individual states making such laws. Under the Constitution, it would be perfectly reasonable, legally, for, say, the state of Georgia to say you're not allowed to say gay in public. Right? I wouldn't be in support of such a law. I am not a fan of the abridgment of free speech. However, my point here is that constitutionally, it passes muster because the Constitution says the Congress, not the states' Congresses, the Congress, clearly referring specifically to the Congress of the United States, of the federal government. Now, that distinction aside, when we talk about the First Amendment, and similarly with the Fourth Amendment, the fact is that the enemy abuses the rights that we afford them, and they do so to great effect. That is how it came to be such a controversy with regard to spying on American citizens and U.S. persons throughout the whole GWOT, Global War on Terrorism. where we have a lot of problems. Don't get me wrong. I am not a fan of the surveillance state. But let me ask you a question. Have you ever tried to hunt and prosecute and eliminate dangerous threats while being handcuffed by the rights of those individuals? I'm not saying that bad guys shouldn't have rights, but those are some philosophically, politically, and tactically dangerously complex situations. Now, that said, when we talk about the desecration of the American flag, it is never the case that you are burning the flag to make anything other than a statement against the government, against the country.
Correct.
And I am a firm believer that there are some absolutely clear circumstances under which it is perfectly reasonable and patriotic to make speech against the government and against the direction of the country, against policy positions. Absolutely. But we've got some other issues to discuss here. So, Mario, you've got a counterpoint. I want to get a piece of one more article before we dig into your particular counterpoint. But did you have something else you wanted to hit first?
About in the intelligence community's spying activities as a result of the Patriot Act, Global War on Terror. There's a reason we have a distinction within the military intelligence between Title 10 and Title 50 operations, one is meant for overseas, for time of war, for dealing with the collection of and the electronic surveillance of foreign nationals. And then one is for domestic activities, not during a time of war. The problem with programs like PRISM under Barack Obama, the one that Richard Snowden made light of, was that it was blurring the line between Title 10 and Title 50. Those distinctions need to be robustly separated. And that's where the Obama administration took us off the rails. Now we have a situation where Trump has authorized Palantir, basically a third party. It's like a third party to essentially scoop up metadata on the entire American population for whatever purpose.
Yeah, he just straight up
so choose.
He just straight up hired Saruman for national security purposes.
Exactly.
It's literally called Palantir.
You're gonna see the singularity of all regulation, case law, and surveillance. All right, in basically in one AI, basically a beast system. All right, that is what Palantir harkens for the American people, and I find it. I find it kind of strange that Peter Thiel, or maybe not strange, maybe ironic, that Peter Thiel, this weekend, I believe, is running a seminar, a four-part series on where it's just Peter Thiel up there, he's doing one of my Saturday deep dives with his fucking slideshows. All right, he's going to do a 4-part series on the Antichrist. What is that about? Okay.
Wow.
I'm not kidding. This is real. This is happening. This is your America.
So
hey, TPS report real quick, Alex. Why don't you can you unban me from the chat on your program? Okay, I was on there last night, and I'm trying to do some good all American shit posting, and I find out I'm muted. What's up with that, Alex? Speaking of I respect my freedom of speech at your table. Yeah. Anyway,
Sergeant Major says we may see people arrested for flag burning who use their arrest as a political stunt.
Yeah, of course.
That's absolutely fair. We will see that. In fact, I would not be surprised to see Democrat elected officials now going out and burning flags for exactly that reason. And let me tell you something. I think Cam's right. I think Cameron's right on that one. That's going to happen. And it's going to be something that makes it into campaign ads going into the midterms. So there's absolutely some political calculation going on here. And I think Trump's on the right side of it as far as winning the political and the optics argument here. And that's going to dovetail into the arguments and claims that you're going to make in just a minute, Mario, in a positive way. I think you're going to like how I deal with this. But So this next article comes from the New York Times, archived, of course. And I said Trump. It says Trump's own order on flag burning concedes First Amendment protection. Oh, that is one of those very careful, almost but not quite technically lies. Says the president wants to prosecute protesters who desecrate the American flag, but his order concedes that such protests are typically covered by the First Amendment. It does, and it goes so far as to specifically discuss the circumstances under which there are exceptions. President Trump signed with a flourish on Monday an executive order directing the Justice Department to prosecute protesters who burn the American flag to the maximum extent permitted by the Constitution. But the directive itself acknowledges how little that is. No. That is a gross mischaracterization of the rule. And I'll come back to that in just a minute. But Mario, I want you to take us through your article now. The legal group hails breakthrough as U.S. judge equates Israeli flag with Jewish identity. And I'm going to make an argument that this is good. Not that it's good in and of itself, but it's good for us on optics.
No. Okay, so the recent decision by a U.S. judge, a federal judge, has essentially made it illegal, or anti-Semitic to burn or desecrate an Israeli flag on U.S. soil. This stemmed from it was a case brought up, an assault case from the ongoing Palestinian-Israeli protests going on in Washington D.C. There's ongoing protests, that you can attend pretty much every weekend, various places in the country. If you have any damn sense, you should probably stay away from them because, honestly, Israelis versus Palestinian, have at it, man. Leave me out of it. It's all you. It's all you. Okay, the sons of Japheth care not what the sons of Shem are doing today. Anyway, so what happened was there was a Jewish woman, was wearing an Israeli flag as a cape, all right, during the protest, and a pro-Palestinian protester basically grabbed the flag from behind and tried to rip it off her, and he briefly choked her. The police noticed it, and then the guy got arrested. Right, and then in the judge's decision regarding the protester who's in jail, the judge decided that attacking the Israeli flag is in fact an attack on the Jewish race or an attack on the Jewish identity. That the flag and the Jewish people are essentially inseparable. Right, the flag, which is of course the Star of Rephaim, all right, which represents Saturn. So, we can go down a rabbit hole on this one if we wanted to, but I won't. So, and in a rare incident, Code Pink, are decrying this decision. All right, Code Pink were the ones who were defending the individual who grabbed at that flag, and for once, Code Pink is right. Broken clock, right? But what this is, it's a continuation of the legal principle that was founded by that act that Congress passed, which stated that that anti-Zionism, is identical to anti-Semitism. So if you oppose Zionism, which is the Jewish hijra, to the Middle East for the foundation, basically for the foundation of Israel, right, and for the expansion of borders of Israel, if you oppose that political colonial program, then you are in fact an anti-Semite, and being an anti-Semite in the United States is more or less illegal. All right, so what you have done is you have extended what was already not unconstitutional, in saying that ideas or protest, or political disagreement, which is what Zionism is. Zionism is a political program. If you disagree with the politics of a political program, that is the equivalent of a hate crime, right? So now they have expanded that legal protection to the symbol of the state of Israel, which is its flag. That is a dangerous legal precedent to set, and that's going to have far-reaching consequences going forward. So what I see is that this executive order from Trump is a way to kind of like, they already see this coming as an issue. Like, well, how are we going to square it with the American people that the flag of a foreign country is more sacred on our soil than our own flag itself, right? Burn an American flag, legitimate protest. Burn an Israeli flag, go to jail. In the United States, how do we square that? Well, I guess we better paper over bad law with bad law, and let's make it illegal to burn the U.S. flag too, or at least attempt to. I don't think this executive order is going to survive legal challenges, to be honest.
Okay, so got a couple of rejoinders here. For one, everything you just said about this case is on point, except for your last point, which is that this is papering over bad law with bad law in order to
justify it, basically.
In order to justify this case.
Right.
I think it's actually the other way around. I don't disagree that we're talking about papering over bad law with bad law, but I think it is more correct to interpret this as Trump. No, it is more likely to be the case that rather than Trump passing this executive order in order to justify this case against the Israeli flag, I think given the history, which is that Trump has made many, many statements in the past about, I don't like it when they burn the American flag. We should be able to prosecute people for burning the American flag. And, look at these commies destroying the American flag type of comments. He has been against burning the American flag vocally the entire time he's been in office, both terms. So I think it's more likely to say that he could use this case as cover to say, oh, hey, look, these lefty judges think that attacking a symbol of a country is a hate crime against that country. You know what? It's funny. The last time I checked, we're a country. So screw these guys. Now, in peace with that, we've got there's many stories like this, but this one's from quite recently. This was back in June. Four kids were charged with hate crimes for destroying LGBTQ pride flags. Atlanta police say. Now, this story was a little bit different than some of the protester stories as far as burning the American flag, because in this case, fair play, these kids did tear the LGBT flags off of some business and destroy them. And let's go ahead and extend them total protection for destroying the flag, for burning the flag under the First Amendment argument. The fact is that doesn't excuse vandalism, theft, destruction of private property, right? And that's a reasonable argument with the American flag as well. If we go ahead and extend the whole First Amendment argument that it's an expression of free speech, okay, cool. Order one from Amazon, pay for it with your own money, and burn it in public. There you go. But when you're throwing fire bombs at federal courthouses, tearing down the flag on the pole there, and setting it ablaze in front of a federal building, that is a different animal altogether. So, Patrick even mentioned it, of course, because we do prep for a show like this. I've got the facts and case summary pulled up for Texas v. Johnson. We're not going to worry so much about the U.S. versus Eichmann story this morning, because Texas v. Johnson is really the carrying precedent. Okay, this is from 1989 for starters. Until this case, let's just be clear. Until this Supreme Court case, just about 30 years ago, the law of the land, 18 U.S. Code 700, desecration of the flag of the United States, penalties, right? Amended subsection prior to amended subsection, whoever knowingly casts contempt upon any flag of the United States by publicly mutilating, defacing, defiling, burning, or trampling upon it shall be fined not more than $1,000 or imprisoned for not more than 1 year or both. And this was the law
Right.
until this case in 1989. Now, interestingly, in 1989, it's important to understand the facts of the case. Johnson burned an American flag outside of the convention center where the 84 Republican National Convention was being held in Dallas, Texas. Johnson burned the flag to protest the policies of President Ronald Reagan. He was arrested and charged with violating a Texas statute that prevented the desecration of a venerated object, including the American flag, if such action were likely to incite anger in others.
So the
And a
court got it
Texas
wrong.
court tried and convicted him, right, not based on the destruction of property entirely. That was part
Based on
of
the,
the
based
destruction
on the
of flag.
state law. The higher court got it wrong in this case then. Yeah.
Correct. And remember, like we just read here, right, likely to incite anger in others. Now, there are exceptions to the First Amendment that we recognize in the law. Whether you agree with those exceptions or not, those exceptions exist. And they include things like fighting words, incitement, right? It is, famously, there's dicta where you can't shout fire in a crowded theater. It's like, now, hold on a minute. You can if there's a fire, for starters. And that whole shouting fire in a crowded theater, that is not law. That is dicta. As in, it wasn't part of a Supreme Court decision. It wasn't part of legislation. It is something that a Supreme Court justice said offhand and was written in the footnotes.
Which is
right?
Which is literally what dicta means. It means just said. Yep.
Correct. And dicta is an important part of precedence and understanding the interpretation of law by judges, but it does not carry the full weight of a Supreme Court decision or the law. So
the most tragic example of this would be when dicta effectively became the legal precedent for birthright immigration, where basically anchor babies exist.
Correct.
Because
anchor babies
because
are entirely from dicta.
Anchor babies are dicta. Yeah.
And bad dicta.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
From
some bad dicta.
Yeah. Yeah, from a liberal whiny Supreme Court justice that probably needed to get her some dicta. So we talked about the Israeli flag attack court case. We talked about kids being tried for hate crimes, right? Like that's an important distinction there. A hate crime.
Yeah.
Whenever you say hate crime, what you mean is white people are always guiltier than everybody else.
Yes. Some animals are more equal than others, is what you're saying.
Correct. Right. And right. And now we have the inversion of that. Some animals are more guiltier than others if they're white. Mm-hmm. Right. So in the Trump executive order, he goes on to say, notwithstanding the Supreme Court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. See Texas v. Johnson. So, like I said, in Texas v. Johnson, part of the mechanism of his arrest was that he was burning the flag outside of the Republican convention and was arrested in part because that expression of speech was likely to incite violence. But he did not argue against that point in the Supreme Court case. In the Supreme Court case, 5 years later, the argument was ignoring the incitement to violence, ignoring the incitement to lawless activity. The case was that burning the flag itself is a First Amendment protected activity. Right? This is, let me paint this picture clearly for you. You've been arrested. You've been caught in a pay-by-the-hour hotel room with a hooker. You've been arrested for solicitation. And you were still in her when they put the cuffs on. And when you get into the courtroom, you say, but Your Honor, I had my phone propped up on the nightstand recording. Therefore, I was producing a pornographic film, and that's First Amendment protected speech.
What? We're talking about a crime?
My crime is irrelevant. The actual crime is irrelevant because I can couch it in First Amendment protected speech. Right? Sure, you caught me. You caught me with a hooker, but there was a video camera in the room recording. Therefore, my crime is First Amendment protected speech.
Well, that's very pill pull. Speaking of, yeah, we are at some point going to do a show on the Supreme Court decision that made pornography First Amendment protected. Okay, one of the most disastrous decisions the court has ever made.
Yes, and yeah. Alex gets it. Yeah, that's part of what we were talking about a minute ago. Trump wants them to do it. We have an election coming up. There's nothing better for Republicans than leftists burning flags on TV. It's a brilliant move. Absolutely. In fact, the only thing, actually, no, there is something better than leftists burning flags on TV. You know what that is, Mario?
Leftists burning on TV?
Well, that's a personal preference. I mean, better for Republicans for optics. And that is foreigners flying foreign flags while burning American flags.
Yeah, the LA,
the most recent LA riots,
the anti-ICE riots. Yeah, we're a spectacle of. Yes, they were a spectacle of bad optics. Okay, a spectacle of terrible optics for people like us. But you have to understand, there's a significant portion of the country that don't have any issue with Mexicans effectively destroying Los Angeles and desecrating our symbols. Okay,
you know what's funny though?
There is a voter base of people like that. Okay, just so you understand.
And that voter base that you're talking about is almost entirely female and primarily white, rich females. Because you know who doesn't like to see Mexicans burning flags on television? Illegal Mexicans burning flags on television are the Mexicans that came here legally.
Maybe, but not their children. Not their children. If they spent all their formative years in public school, no, not at all.
Yeah, I went through.
They've gone through the indoctrination machine.
Yeah. That must be one of the hardest things to see happen to yourself.
Absolutely.
Oh my God.
That's why you should stop coming here.
I worked my ass off in Mexico, scrimped and saved to pay my way. My wife and I go to America. We get citizenship. Then our baby is born, a first generation American citizen through everything. And we do everything the way we're supposed to do it. We get them into the best school we can get them into. We put ourselves into debt, putting them into college so they can get a professional credential, and they come out and they hate everything that we've made for them.
That's right. You did everything you possibly could.
To hate everything they have.
You did everything you could to elevate your next generation, okay, beyond your humble origins, right? Only in the end, for your progeny, the only one of your family who actually is a U.S. citizen, to become a pink-haired, nose-ringed, basically homosexual communist. Never should have came. I'm telling you. For anyone out there thinking about immigrating to the United States, don't come here. Don't come here until this is fixed. Okay. In fact, just don't come here. We're full anyway. But yeah, this can happen to you.
Agreed.
Look at the birth rate, right, of immigrants who come to the United States. The first generation, they have a high birth rate, and then the second generation, collapse. Okay, same thing. Oh, mega yum time.
Cheeseburger's back. You know what?
Oh yeah.
Cheeseburger, you should be watching on Rumble. You should always be watching on Rumble. And I'm going to poke you a little bit. Since you're watching on YouTube, you're not eligible to win a free month of premium membership on Rumble. So I'm going to give. That could not have been more perfect. So I'm going to give away a free month on Rumble to a random person to tease mega yum yum time cheeseburger, and it went to Cam. Cam got the free month.
Sorry, Mega. I don't think you're ever going to see Cam on this program again. Okay, he can't stop getting into personal disputes with other members of the collective. Okay, and he has fully committed himself to the service of Mammon. Okay, he can't serve God and Mammon alike. He chose Mammon. Okay, he's an apostate. Sorry. He also registered as a Democrat in 2025, the only person in Georgia to do so.
So,
Call in, Cam. Call in. Yeah. All right. Anyway.
Oh, damn. That's an aversion to the letter R.
He does.
That is the best pun today, my man. Well played. Killing it. So, like I was saying, the Texas versus Johnson case, the argument was that it's First Amendment protected activity, and that is the line on which the Supreme Court made their decision. Notwithstanding the court's rulings on First Amendment protections, the court has never held that American flag desecration conducted in a manner that is likely to incite imminent lawless action or that is an action amounting to fighting words is constitutionally protected. Right? So yes, I can say MF this and N-word that and all that stuff as much as I want, anywhere I want. In theory, legally, obviously, there are some words like the hard R N-word that YouTube will shut us off for, which is a whole nother bucket of argument there. But if you walk up and shout it at a black man in public and he punches you in the face over it, them's fighting words. Right? Your fighting words are not necessarily protected.
Yeah, the problem with black people is they don't have the emotional control to know when to stop. Okay, that's why you see so many incidents where, like, a dude gets knocked out clean, hits the deck, and it's just like, okay, that's the end of the fight. But then they go up and start like curb stomping them. It's like, no, okay, now it's attempted murder. You idiot. Right. Anyway,
but so, frankly, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to my point about the application of fighting words. I mean, it's if you impugn the honor of my wife in a public place where I can lay hands on you, then yes, I'm probably going to ruin your day.
Right.
And you will have at that point committed the crime of inciting the violence.
Yeah. Fair enough. Yep. So speaking of flag wars, okay. Have you seen I don't have an article on this, but have you seen are you more or less finished with the flag topic here?
Yeah, I think we're good there. I've got the two stories. I've got the two stories pulled up that you sent over.
I have a segue, okay, because otherwise these are unsegwayable topics, okay? So allow me to attempt this. Speaking of the flag wars, have you seen what's been going on in the United Kingdom recently?
Oh, hell yes.
Okay.
Yes. The Raise the Colors movement.
That's right. So Britain is on the verge of like full-scale rebellion right now, okay? And the pro-British, the pro-white British, pro-British, pro-patriot movement, all right, has figured out an excellent optics campaign, which is they are basically flying the St. George flag, which everyone knows is like the Crusader flag, the white flag with a red cross, for those who don't know. St. George's flag. So they've taken to basically flying it everywhere they possibly can, and it's kind of like an underground street level campaign where people will just start posting them in the middle of the night got boys out there with ladders and fastening equipment, and basically just hanging the St. George flag wherever they can. And of course, the government in its psychotic ineptitude, well, it's not ineptitude. The government in its psychosis, and its evil. Because understand that the government of the United Kingdom is an evil organization hell bent on destroying the national character of its own people. All right, there's nothing else to say. Like 5th of November now. Okay, so they're out there. The citizenry are out flying the flag, and the government has decided that that basically is a hate crime, or could be incitement to violence, so et cetera, et cetera. You know what I mean? It's the same leftist language they use in this country, just over there, right? So this is really a cultural flashpoint right now in the UK. So in case you guys have more, the media more or less is blacking it out. You're not really seeing it
Right.
In the American media, but if you dig a
And
little
this
bit
guy
on
says this isn't Israel, this isn't Palestine, this is England. Why we raise the
literally
colors?
get on Twitter and scratch under the surface. Okay, you'll see this is a massive movement. This is a mass movement in the United Kingdom right now. Okay, and I fully support it.
Yeah, you got this guy going to a roundabout and painting and just painting the flag.
Right. Yeah, it's so bad that your flag is literally the protest movement at this point. Okay, that's how bad things have gotten. And yeah, there's a push to basically get it going throughout the Commonwealth. Okay.
Yeah. We passed over one a second ago. Here it is. It said Italy is winning at raising the colors. That I gotta lie, that's pretty spectacular.
It's pretty legit. Yep. Just don't ask them to participate in any combat missions. Okay, they're not so great at that, unfortunately. Just don't.
So I was gonna bring up something similar to where's the article? Okay. I was going to bring up something similar to transition us over to the two articles you had.
You don't have to if you don't want to. I mean, we can just cover them quick, or we can just not. I mean,
no. I've got them, and we've got a little time.
We'll start with Germany.
Alex says this is England, ran by majority Muslim councils. Yeah, England is a captured state. And Jay says, next year will mark 250 years of me not caring about Britain. They're weak. Never understood why we broke away, only to support them in their endeavors. Yeah, the painful truth is that, like all of our allies, the British are essentially a parasite state. They are all called for no benefit.
I do care. I would volunteer to fight and die for the white British. Okay, taking back their island. I would do that. I fully support the CIA basically dropping off pallets of AR-15s and grenades for the British people to fight back.
Oh,
okay. I do care about the United Kingdom.
Fighting for the native British, the native Scottish, the native Irish. That's one thing. I'm talking about the nation.
Well, the nation is the people.
No. It should be, but not when it's a captured state that has been captured by a hostile foreign adversary.
When you talk to me about the British nation, okay? When I say British nation, what I mean people who are of English, Welsh, Scottish, or Irish extraction. Okay, that's what I mean. I don't mean any Indian, Pakistani, or any Africans. I don't mean any other group that migrated to that island under the government's permission. Okay, I specifically mean the people who are indigenous to those lands. I've often had that issue with the American left when they talk about.
We're agreed. We're arguing semantics and pedantry here. That's
sure.
Yeah,
but I also find it ironic that the American left loves to talk about indigenous people, okay, and protection and defending indigenous people, but do not extend that. Theory to the native indigenous peoples of Europe.
Right.
Anyway.
No, 100%. And this is why the national identity is so important. Um, because it's being eroded all over the Western world by hostile foreign invaders. Girl, 17, stabbed to death while calling cops to report being followed on her bike home in Holland as cops arrest asylum seeker who raped woman days earlier. Right. So, Mario,
Right.
you sent this article over. You want to take us through it?
Sure. So what happened here is you have a migrant. I don't think they specified a specific identity, but it doesn't matter. He's not Dutch. He's not European. Okay. He had attempted rape of a girl basically about 10 days ago. Okay. Attempted rape. She got away. She didn't call the police, all right, because that would be racist. Then he actually did commit a rape 5 days ago. Okay. He was arrested for it, but then because I don't know why, he was released. Okay. And then most recently, same individual chased down a 17-year-old white girl on her bicycle and stabbed her to death. So you have three women, and only after she was murdered, after this third victim was murdered, that's when the original victim came forward and said, "Oh yeah, that guy actually accosted me as well." Okay, so you've got three women, all right, in the span of essentially a week, being either threatened, raped, and murdered, all right, by a migrant. And where's the accountability here? Like for you have so many levels of non-accountability that it's staggering. One, no accountability for the government for inviting these people into the country for the first place. Okay, no accountability for your criminal justice system not fulfilling its responsibility to keep dangerous individuals off the street. Okay, not fulfilling its responsibility for the security of the public, which is what a justice system, which is what a police force is meant for. That is the purpose of it. Okay. So this, and then probably the worst, one of the probably the most heartbreaking aspect of it is right now you've got a major protest going on in the Netherlands, okay, where it's essentially feminist women marching, okay, and decrying violence against women from men, right? But without specifying which men are responsible for this violence against women. Okay, for example, one particular banner that's quite popular um, is that basically when there's violence against women, it's always a man, without making the, you know what I mean? This is your brain on leftism. This is what feminism. This is what leftist does to you. It renders you incapable of identifying the problem, right? Identifying the source of a problem because it does not fall within accepted political language barriers. Okay, um, this is what happens when when you give women political power. Honestly, okay, because women are essentially a reverberation piece. Okay, for whatever the mainstream culture, which is a product of the mainstream media, is producing. Okay, they are consensus thinkers and will go along to get along. So you have basically like multiple degrees of cognitive dissonance going on here. When in reality, what needs to happen is no more immigration, zero immigration, and the immediate deportation of all hostile foreign invaders in the Netherlands. All right. And but to do that, you have to break away from the European Union. You have to break away from see, that's the problem. What makes the situation in Europe worse, okay, from a macro political situation, is the fact that they have an overarching bureaucratic superstate effectively controlling their countries from like cloistered offices in Brussels. All right, and these people are essentially not elected. It's a new, it's a new aristocracy. Okay, and you're not part of it. The average EU citizen, the average member of a European Union state. Um, so yeah, three girls victimized by the same fucking migrant, and he
In a week.
in a week, like, put him to death. You have every justification to just execute him. I don't give a fuck about his rights as a migrant. Okay, it's I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Okay, um, other than extreme kinetic violence, but I don't think that's not possible. That's not possible with a disarmed populace. Disarmed both in weapons and disarmed in their very speech. Okay, so that was going on in the Netherlands, and then
Well, this was
another
happening in Germany.
similar incident occurred in Germany, and this one involved an American citizen. Okay, you have an American tourist. Okay, and he's like a part-time like model. He's a paramedic, and then he does some modeling contracts as well. Like he's basically a Chad. Okay, he's in Germany. I believe this was in Dresden. Okay, he's on a train. He's on the train, and two Syrians basically start like accosting and attempting to sexually assault some German girls. Okay, um, him basically being a he's a stud. Okay, he steps in
So
and
we got a
defends the
picture of
women
him.
and fights
Damn,
back. Yeah,
son.
he fights back again. Yeah, they stabbed him in the face. Okay, that's him on the left. Okay. So he's like pretty. I mean, I don't know if that's fighting functional strength. Okay, that's more like pretty strength. Okay,
Yeah,
but still, he
he's
steps.
lean and fit.
Yeah, but anyway, he
You know what I
steps
mean?
up and defends the girls, and
He
in
could
the
get
course,
by. He could get by as a fresh private.
yeah,
He could at least
in the
get
course of
started.
he could in the course of fighting these two Syrians, he's stabbed in the face. All right, um, and the Syrians were not even were like one of them was arrested and then released immediately. Okay, and the other Syrian is basically a known gangster and drug dealer in the area, like basically on the police's radar, like at all times. So you have two known criminals who stab a U.S. citizen who is doing nothing other than trying to defend the local nationals. Okay, which should be what the German government is doing, which should be what the German police are motivated by. Okay, but they're clearly not. Um, I guess the only thing I can say. The only positive development of this story is that the German government has yet to try to prosecute this American for like basically laying hands on a precious sacred migrant. Okay, but that's the situation you have in Germany, right? Which is kind of similar to the United Kingdom in daily abject outright abuse of the actual native population on behalf of on behalf of migrants and immigrants. Okay, executed by the government. Okay, um, so yeah, if you are a migrant in Germany, you essentially get to live. You are outside of the law in what you can do and in what the accountability will
Right.
be.
And it's illustrative of or no, we've seen examples in the U.S. California saying that they're not going to prosecute anybody for shoplifting over $900, right? And what happened? Oh, shoplifting went through the roof. The world is this simple. As far as economics and game theory and cause and effect goes, if you want more of something, you subsidize it. Like, for example, in the U.S., poverty, illegal immigration, etc. Same thing overseas. Anywhere you have a welfare state, anywhere you have a socialist program of any kind, it really is that simple. If you want more of something, you subsidize it. You subsidize homelessness. You subsidize poverty. You subsidize unemployment. If you want less of something, you tax it, right? You tax cigarettes to try and dissuade people from smoking. You tax alcohol to try and dissuade people from drinking too much. You tax, income. You tax property. You tax economic activity, right? If you want more of it, you subsidize it. Poverty, illegal immigration, homelessness, welfare programs, right? If you want less of something, that would be all of those things which make people wealthy, which allow people to have upward economic mobility and to earn and grow. You tax it. You make it more difficult. right? So,
Yeah.
When you see politicians say, well, we're prosecuting too much of this crime or that crime, what you hear is, I want more crime. And so you see over there, there's been all of this.
I want artificial constructs put in place to recategorize the crime according to my worldview, is what you're saying, which in effect will result in more crime.
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
there's a layer in between it.
Well,
there's a layer of cognitive dissonance there.
There's this is a little bit of an aside, but we've seen the reports that crime was going down in D.C. But then the D.C. Police chief was canned for shifting the statistics, and what he was doing is you'd have things like somebody would shatter the front windows of a store to break in and rob it, and they'd go and arrest them for vandalism or destruction of property. So hold up. Maybe you can say they also did that, but if they took a bunch of watches, you can't say they only did that. And that's what they were doing. So, like things like attempted murder being categorized as felony assault instead of attempted murder, and shifting those numbers around to falsify those statistics. But in particular, what I'm talking about here is like in England, for example, we've had the Pakistani rape gangs that have been covered up, and we now know we've now seen the reporting, we've now seen the evidence that it's not just the case that the British government knew that this was happening, but there were people in the government who were actively covering it up to prevent the public from hearing about it. And bringing it back to home, Zoran Mamdani says he wants to end all misdemeanor charges once he's elected mayor of New York. And I hate to say it, but I think Mamdani is actually going to end up winning that election because of his opposition being vote split.
The majority of New York is not American.
Correct.
So they're not going to vote. They don't want to vote for an American.
Right.
Zoran Mamdani is not American.
Zoran Mamdani and his comrades at the Democratic Socialists of America want to swipe out the enforcement of all misdemeanor offenses, the Post has learned. This, real quick, I want to make sure you guys understand this. They said Democratic Socialists of America. Okay, this is not a gag like when we say something like CCPNN or MSDNC, where we're intentionally making a correlation between two things that are not technically officially related, but that are clearly tied together. This is not them cracking a joke about the Democrat Party and suggesting that all Democrats are socialists. Mamdani, like Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, they are members of the Democratic Socialists of America. That is an organization that exists. They are, in fact, socialists. And never forget, socialism is communism, and communists aren't people.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, to be communist is a declaration of anti-humanity. Okay, you've separated yourself. You've separated yourself from the womb of this earth. So, man, that was quite the news roundtable, wasn't it?
Wasn't it? I think that's about all I've got for this morning.
First Amendment, basically immigration, migrant violence, homegrown domestic communists. Yeah. Well, he's not. I guess he's not really homegrown, is he? That Mamdani. Like, did you see him at the parade or at that festival the other day?
With the failed bench press.
He literally couldn't do one rep at 135.
Yeah, he got his ass whooped by two plates.
One plate on each side. Couldn't.
Yeah, I was watching. I was like, "Damn, son, I'm not even in my prime anymore, and I can juggle plates. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm out of shape too, but I could knock out at least 5 of those clean before I start getting gassed.
Yeah, all
Okay.
day.
Yeah.
I used to curl more than that.
Mhm.
At peak, I was curling somewhere in the 190 to 210 area.
All right, we had
curl.
look, we had a good show. Let's not devolve into hey, let me tell you kids about why I'm awesome.
Fair enough.
Okay, we don't need that. Okay.
I mean, that was 20 years ago.
Okay, yeah. Chris is awesome. Say no more. Okay, say no more.
I mean, just my point is, if I can't even push 2 plates, maybe I don't try and do that as a publicity stunt on live television.
No, what it means is that he's never bench pressed anything before, so
Correct.
he did not know what his limits were. Okay,
So,
it means he's
yeah,
never literally that was the
never,
first time
he's never even
he
done
ever
a
attempted
push-up.
to do that. Yeah, even like the smooth muscle required to just stabilize the bar, he has never even worked that connective tissue before. Okay, he's a weakling Nepo baby who was raised with maximum privilege of being basically he was a child. He's a child of foreigners, okay, who are academics. He was cloistered in a paid for by the public luxury apartment for Columbia University. That's where he grew up. All right. Um, he is a pure Nepo baby. He's never had a real job. The only real job he ever had.
Unknown caller.
Uh-oh. Someone's
What?
calling you. Someone's trying to call you.
It says robocaller. Hang on. Oh, wait. I gotta plug this in or I can't hear it. Oh. Hello? Did it hang up? It hung up.
Oh well. Phantom caller. Anyway.
Phantom caller.
But yeah. Mom Donnie is the height of privilege. Okay. Within the modern leftist, okay, progressive stack of privilege, right? Mom Donnie is the most privileged man in New York, I would say. Okay. He checks every box, all right, for the Democrat Party.
Yep.
And for the left in general.
All right. Well, guys, that's about all I've got this morning.
Unverified, how could you just barely show up unverified? Oh my God. No, Winnie. Too bad.
It's good to see you, though, Bear.
Good to see
Y'all
you.
be
Good to see
safe
you,
out there. We love you, and we will see you tomorrow.
Ciao.
Do.